Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Shafick. I am a general doctor in Honduras. I am at the moment an equivalent to an F4 level, if you want to put it, compared to the UK system. And I just want to share with you, if you saw my previous video, where I discussed about how the PLAB 2 is structured and how they are evaluating you. I want to share with you how to approach this exam, what was my strategy, what are my recommendations and some tips to study for this crucial exam. If you find this content useful for you, I would recommend sharing it with other of your peers that are interested in taking the PLAB 2 so that they have a better idea and a better understanding, get ready for such an important exam in their pathway towards the UK. So having a quick recap from the previous video, you need to remember that this is not an exam where they're going to evaluate how good you are memorizing exams, memorizing lab values, memorizing answers. They are evaluating your critical thinking, and they're evaluating your interpersonal skills with the patient, with the actor that is portraying to be a patient, or with the mannequin towards whom you're going to direct your physical examination and explain your findings. And something important to remember is that you have the clinical knowledge, you have the necessary skills already because you're a graduated doctor and you have been working back home very hard towards achieving this goal. So when you study for the PLAB 2, you need to focus on seeing it as portraying or seeing real patients. You need to mentalize yourself that you're going to be interviewing actors, but that you're actually going to be seeing real patients in clinic. So if you are able to understand that from the start and change that mindset, it's going to be more relatable to you as seeing it as a normal everyday job for you as a doctor back home. So my first recommendation for you would be to go to the GMC official website and search for the following two things: PLAB 2 blueprint, and if you cannot find it, search it as MLA content map. Remember that now the exam is called UKMLA. So the UKMLA CPSA would be the same thing as saying the PLAB 2 examination. So search for that blueprint, get familiarized with the domains they're assessing you on, the type of topics or the type of consultations that they're going to be asking you or presenting to you in the real simulation, the real exam in Manchester. So if you have no idea of what I'm talking about, you can pause this video, go back to the video I posted about a week ago where I introduce you to all the different clinical settings and different interview types that you can have during your PLAB 2 examination. And remember that each of the stations has their own approach. Like if it's just a walk-in clinic with a specific problem, for example, someone coming with pain, then you would assess them using your Socrates mnemonic. Or if they come because of cough, then you can use your Odipara. There's usually mnemonics of how to approach or what questions you need to direct towards this specific pathology and how to rule out red flags. They want you to be a safe doctor. So if you ask about possible red flags in your differentials, they're going to be really happy with you because they will say, all right, this is a safe doctor. He's excluding all these emergency situations that can mimic this normal thing coming to clinic. And he's able to recognize all these different patterns. Number two, where can I study for these things? So most of you already have your preferred learning platforms, like for example, using UpToDate or using Amboss or using PDFs from certain academies. So you need to remember something. Your eyes will not see, will not identify what the mind, what the brain doesn't know. So you might have a heart failure patient right in front of you, and if you don't know all the specific signs and symptoms of heart failure, then you will probably miss the diagnosis. So you first need to build up on your knowledge from different books, from different platforms, wherever you want to gain this knowledge. If you want to direct it towards the specific pathologies or diseases that the PLAB blueprint or the MLA content map advises on, there are certain academies that help you prepare for the PLABs, and they have really good PDFs where you can read and study all the stations and all the pathologies and the red flags and all these other things. And I want to let you know that this is not a sponsored video, and I'm going to talk about some platforms that I use, but I'm not getting anything from them. However, here in the description there's a referral link to one of these platforms, and if you want to get a discount and also support me, then you can pay for this platform through my specific link, and I'm gonna get a commission, and you're also going to get a discount in the platform. So going back to this point, what were the main sites or resources of knowledge where I was studying for my PLAB 2? I was using mainly two different resources. Number one is, if you have heard about Mo Shobi's Academy, then he has really good books and PDFs where he talks about all the stations and all the different diseases and encounters. That was really great for me to reread medicine, like to learn medicine and to learn the approaches towards all these different types of stations. So that's the main resource I pretty much used. However, together with the Mo Shobi's PDFs that I was using on my day-to-day practices, I was also using a platform called PLAB 2 Cases, or I think it's nowadays called MLA Cases. And they also have a really nice library of all the topics and just the medical content itself, like what's the algorithm to this disease, what are you going to find in your physical examination, what type of laboratory studies should you send for this and this and this suspected things. Those were the two main sites where I was getting information when I was building up my knowledge for later on practicing the stations, the simulations itself. Now, the main way how I was practicing once I had already built up my knowledge was three different ways. Number one is get a group of friends that are also applying to the PLAB 2 on relatively close dates to when you're taking the exam, because you can practice. So let's say that I already finished studying all the psychiatric diseases that can go to the first level of attention to general practice. So then I would simulate being the doctor, my friend would simulate being the patient, and vice versa. Like simulate one case each and give feedback to each other. And we would be using specific timers so that we knew when 6 minutes had already gone by, when we only had 2 minutes left. And give us feedback on time, whether our questions were sounding too scripted, whether we were missing certain specific points, whether we forgot to ask this and this and that. So that was the main way of how I was practicing for the PLAB. Now, there are two other ways how you can do it if you don't have anyone else that has actually taken this exam. One is just recording yourself like what I'm doing right now, and then seeing how you are acting, seeing all the different things that you do verbally when you talk to someone, like moving your hands, or if you're leaning forward too much, or if you're just with your arms crossed, or if you're moving your legs a lot. You cannot see this, but in case you move your knees a lot, then that would take points away from you because you might seem like anxious. As well as if you go into the consultation and you just sit like this and you have a serious face and you're not smiling, and you need someone to give you that feedback. So if you don't have anyone with whom to do it, you might record yourself or do it in front of a mirror so that you might start improving on this. The other option would be asking ChatGPT. Now, hear me out. One day I was just studying and I didn't have any classmate and I wanted to practice how to approach a depression station. So I told ChatGPT, hey ChatGPT, I'm preparing for this exam. I need you to simulate being a patient. I'm going to simulate being the doctor. I'm going to answer questions. You need to give me certain responses. And the topic is going to be on depression. So go on the web, learn everything you can, all the symptoms, all the signs, and simulate being a real person coming in with depression to the clinic. And to my surprise, it was a pretty amazing experience because even the voice of ChatGPT changed. They simulated being a young male, saying he had been fired from his job, and for the past 6 months he was feeling really low in mood and this and this and that. And even things like asking about self-harm, ChatGPT would respond like, it has come across my mind, but I haven't had the bravery enough to do it. I'm really ashamed of letting you know about this, doctor. And it was really impressive. So I started using ChatGPT to practice a lot of stations, especially counseling stations and psychiatry stations. Now there's other options, and there's services of academies where they can just give you cases, like give you mock examinations to give you a pretty good feedback. The best one I can recommend is Dr. Coaches. They're official OSCE's examinators in different universities where they work for in the UK. And they can give you pretty good feedback of how to improve in the way how you speak, how you conduct your interview, how you deliver bad news, how you talk about this and that, and how you move and express yourself, and all your verbal cues of whatever you're doing there in clinic. So for me, that was a great resource I was using to get feedback from them. Now, all of these, you can do it in your country. Like you can be practicing, you can be studying, you can be reading guidelines. But how do you practice all the technical skills, all the practical skills, like how to do IV cannulation, how to get blood cultures on a mannequin, how to take ABGs, how to put in a Foley, how to do a urine dipstick test, how to practice subcutaneous injections. There's a lot of different practical skills that you need to demonstrate that you're able to do. And for me, at least where I work or where I trained, we don't have simulation labs. So we don't have a way of actually practicing the skills. I learned the skills on the job, on the patients. This is not very good in terms of medical education, but I learned pretty well how to do it. But in terms of patient safety, then there are, of course, obvious concerns on that. If you don't know how to do these things and you want to learn the procedures and all the steps and all the things that you need, I would recommend you going to Geeky Medics. And I'm gonna show you this now. This is just an example of how Geeky Medics looks. And you have all these different videos. And again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I just find really great value of their content. And they're pretty summarized, pretty concise videos where you learn how to do all these different steps, how to do eye examination, how to do vaginal examination, swabs, how to take blood samples, etc., etc., etc. So I think it's pretty great. I think it's pretty useful, and they're all free videos there in YouTube. And if this is your case and you don't have any mannequin to practice back home, personally, I would definitely recommend you going to a physical academy at least 2 to 3 weeks before your exam so that you can practice all these skills. For me, I chose going to Moshowi's Academy. This was located in Crewe. So it's just about an hour and a half away from Liverpool, and pretty much the same from Manchester. And I decided to go there because a lot of my friends from my country had been going there and they recommended the academy, and it was pretty good. It was pretty fine. I will probably do a separate review about their academy in another video, but there's where I practiced all the physical things because they have a lot of mannequins. They had a lot of things they lend you or that you can pay for, like IV cannulas or kits to insert Foleys and all these things. And you can practice there. I would really recommend you going to simulation labs or to academies that have availability of these type of resources for you to practice there in person. Because there's no way that only having the knowledge, because I thought to myself, I've done this on a lot of patients, I don't need to practice more. But in the UK, they're a bit more methodic and they want to assess how good you are gaining consent and explaining everything you're doing and doing everything pretty much as their procedures book state. And also on how to practice prescription, I would recommend you printing the official UK's prescriptions templates so that you can practice. And what I did is I bought a used BNF through Amazon. It doesn't even have to be the newest version so that you can get familiarized on how to use this little book, how to search for medications, where's the index, where to search for diseases, where to search for contraindications and all these things, and put yourself a timer in your house and practice the prescriptions, and then check them according to the GMC guidelines on how to fill in prescriptions. But I would definitely recommend you to buy a BNF or have one downloaded in your tablet, but it's not the same thing. I would really strongly advise you to buy a BNF. Now for the Siemens stations, I would recommend two things. Number one is going to the webpage called Rhesus Monitor, something like that. And you can have a computer with vital signs, and then you can be adjusting them from the phone or somebody else adjusting them from the phone so that you can simulate different cases so that you're able to quickly assess and give management and say what you're going to do and actually portray as if you're doing things. And the other person will be adapting these vital signs according to the different management steps that you have taken. They don't expect you just to say, okay, I would give this person oxygen, 5 liters on a non-rebreather mask. They actually expect you doing things. So if you're gonna say that you're gonna give someone oxygen, they expect you to go to the trolley that they have in the room, pick up a non-rebreather, put it on the SimMan. It's a huge mannequin. You put it on the SimMan. You open the oxygen and you say, all right, I'm going to give 10 liters of oxygen to this patient through a non-rebreather mask. Or if you say that you're going to take some blood samples, you need to go get all your equipment to take the blood samples and actually do it. Or if you're going to put an IV, you need to take out the IV, simulate like you're going to put it on the mannequin's arm, and most probably the examiner will tell you, assume that you have already placed it, and you need to do your ABCDE approach on this station. If you follow your ABCDE approach and adapt your management according to the vital signs and according to what the patient is telling you, you'll probably do fine. Once again, I would recommend you going to a physical academy to be able to practice this. It sounds easy, but it has its technical skills learning curve, especially when you're under stress and you feel you don't have any time at all to be able to examine your patient and give management. So my final tips and advices for you in your preparation to the PLAB 2 is trust your previous experience and trust what you do in your day-to-day jobs or studies in your home country, and believing that it's all going to be useful when you go to take your exam. However, saying that, I want to tell you my second advice, which is not overestimate your knowledge and overestimate your skills. Practice is what's going to make you have a great score in your PLAB 2. Try to do that. The only way how you're going to get familiarized with interviewing an actor and not a real patient and getting yourself mentalized for that is practicing every single day. And my third advice would be dedicate the right amount of time. So I know people that has prepared for this exam in, let's say, 1 month. I wouldn't advise doing that. I would advise taking at least 3 to 4 months before the exam so that you're able to balance all your work-life things and also balance studying. And I would recommend you at least going for 3 weeks before your exam to the UK, go to an academy, practice all the skills and technical stuff and also your theoretical knowledge with them. And in that way, you're going to feel more confident and more comfortable when you're going to take your exam. Now, something else I want to add is right before your exam, sleep very good, have a great meal, pray if you are a religious person, and just believe that everything will be fine. And you need to have trust and confidence in the process. And you have been a doctor for quite some time. You are licensed in your country. So just trust that everything will be fine. And before I leave, I just want to tell you that if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Please share it with all your peers. That's the way how I get the most support from you guys. And in that way, YouTube can continue recommending this type of videos to other people in the algorithm so that all of us can improve and be better prepared in our medical, academic, and life goals, and all together be able to get successful. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.